Fun fact, Elvis Presley's Elvis Christmas is the top selling Christmas album of all time. Play the music. Welcome to Open M.I.C. I'm your host, Jamal Raheem. Now, Open M.I.C. is a music podcast that comes out every Sunday and every Wednesday. We're giving you something dope to step to. You can find this podcast everywhere that you find podcasts for free. You can also watch it on YouTube if you're one of those visual people like myself. Now, today's episode, we're going to talk about why capitalism is kind of ruining my music experience. Journalism still being alive and well. And then I'm going to talk about Boy Wonder's comments about the West Coast hip hop scene and the West Coast sound. Without further ado, let's get it shouty. So I'm somebody who really loves music. Like, I love music more than I love certain people. I love music the way Keld loves orange soda. Like, I really love music. And something that's been getting into my enjoyment of said music is, unfortunately, capitalism. We all are directly impacted by capitalism. It just sucks, you know what I'm saying? Sucks the life out of me. Because believe it or not, people, concerts weren't always this expensive. They weren't always this expensive. Like, I used to go to concerts for $15. I remember I saw Kendrick Lamar. He was on his grind and on his come up, but I saw him for like $15. I remember I saw Big Crit for $30. You know what I'm saying? Like, and these aren't like shows I saw like 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember I saw, like, the first time that I saw like J. Cole, those tickets weren't crazy expensive. So to see where like all of this stuff is going right now and stuff like that, it kind of sucks because capitalism is ruining my listening experience and my enjoyment of music. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. I'm always going to enjoy music. Like, every time I'm doing something, music's going to be involved. Like, when I shower, when I work out, when I work, music's involved. However, my experience with it is like, it's changing, and it's changing a lot. Like, stuff like buying vinyls, for instance. Like, I started collecting vinyls in I'm gonna date myself, 2017, 2016. I started collecting vinyl. You know what I'm saying? I've been collecting it for a minute now. And I used to get vinyls for like $3, $5, like real good vinyls. Some like $20. Good vinyls, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember I got late registration, not really late registration, college dropout for like $20. I got the DMX album and Redman's I got Redman's What album for like $5 from Urban Outfitters. Like, I got those things for cheap. You know, now like you can't even buy like a used album that's like from like a popular artist for less than $26. Like, it's getting a little carried away. Now, like, you don't even get a chance to hear the album before it comes out. You have to pre-order it. Otherwise, you're going to miss the vinyl drop because they're dropping limited releases of these. So if you don't get the album when like the pre-order, you're going to miss the album. And say like you don't like the album, you pre-ordered it though, you don't get that money back. So you kind of have to take this risk in this game now. And it's just, I don't know. It's an expensive hobby that's becoming more and more expensive. And it's just like, yo, like, I love going to record shops. Like, I would go to a record shop and be in that bitch for hours. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just went to the record store a few days ago. I was in there for 2 hours just going through CDs, DVDs, vinyls. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was in there and looking at the prices of some of these records. I'm just like, that's crazy, because these prices weren't even like this 2019 pre-COVID. So my enjoyment of vinyl has changed because capitalism. Like now, like when I used to go to the record store and pull out, I had like $110. Let's just say that's a random ass number. But when I pull out money, I can go home with a whole bunch of stuff. Now I'm like, I'm going home with 2 records. You know what I'm saying? And that's just like, I don't know. It just feels weird. It feels weird. I understand the artist got to make their money. I understand it's a business. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at the artist. I'm mad at capitalism. You know what I'm saying? Like even streaming music is like getting ridiculous. Like every year we're paying more in streaming. You know what I'm saying? And I have a lot of streaming services. Like I'm not gonna act like, I don't have it. You know, I could easily cancel some of them. I have Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, SoundCloud, Amazon Music, YouTube Music. Like I literally have pretty much everything. I guess I have Pandora. I don't pay for it, but I have that too. um, and every year the prices are going up on those. Goes up $2, goes up $3. And then they'll say like, "Oh, we're doing more for the artists, and it helps us." It don't. It really don't. Let's just keep it a buck. Y'all can raise the prices. Y'all doing it because y'all can. Because we have changed the music industry where physical media is not as important anymore. Like stuff isn't getting put on CDs as often anymore, or put on vinyl as often anymore. Like unless you are a big artist, your stuff ain't really getting put on vinyl or CD. If you're a smaller artist, it's just not happening. Just not happening. Because they could say like, "Oh, we're doing this for the artists, we're doing this for the play our employees," but the truth is, the artists ain't getting nothing, and y'all are laying off a whole bunch of people and relying on AI. I'm talking to you, Spotify. Um, but even that, like capitalism, is ruining that because everything is going up. The prices for everything is going up, and it sucks, man. It sucks. Like there was a video. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put the video in here of this young lady, and she was talking about when artists just drop like their concert tickets are going on sale. Um, I'm gonna put the video in so you have an idea of what the fuck I'm talking about.
Can we unnormalize artists announcing a tour and then saying, "Oh, by the way, tickets go on sale tomorrow. Good luck." Because why is that a thing? Us normal people can't always just drop $200 to $300 on a random Wednesday, especially when you only give us 1 day notice. At least give us like 2 weeks to a month so that we can like save up a little bit. Especially with how expensive tickets are nowadays, and with the fact that a lot of tickets get bought out by bots and resellers, you would think that they would try and give us a little bit more notice to prepare. Also, like, people have work and lives, and you just expect them to log on to Ticketmaster at 10 a.m. on a Wednesday with no notice. It's stressful and unnecessary. I'm sick of these artists announcing tours and then giving absolutely no notice for their fans to actually buy tickets. I really want to go to the SZA and Kendrick Stadium tour, but tickets literally go on sale tomorrow, and if you don't have Cash App card, they go on sale Friday. That's 1 day notice if you have Cash App, and like, what, 3 days notice if you don't? That is not enough time for a normal person to decide if they want to drop like $200 to $300 on concert tickets. That's not even a freaking week. And I don't understand the reasoning behind it either. And don't even tell me it's because of bots and resellers. Bots and resellers are going to get tickets no matter how much notice you give people, whether it's 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, it does not matter. They will always be there and they will always be buying tickets because we don't have any regulations in place. People can just always buy tickets and resell them at whatever price that they want. And because people are desperate because they want to see their favorite artists, people will always buy them. So we're already in an endless cycle with that. So that cannot be the reason why artists are giving such short notice. I genuinely will never understand it.
In the video, she's talking about how like artists are just dropping like their, "Oh, we have a tour, pre-sale goes on sale tomorrow," and they dropping it like in the middle of the holiday season or the beginning of the month where everybody just paid their rent, and it's like, yo, can y'all give us some time? Like I'm going to make a financially irresponsible decision anyways. it's money, I'll get it back. That's how I live my life. But however, like that's crazy. It's like, and I get why artists do it. Like you got to make your money, but at the same time, like I fucking hate capitalism because this wouldn't be happening if it wasn't like so crazy out here. Like we just paid rent, and then like the Dreamville tickets are going on sale. The Kendrick Lamar tickets are going on sale. Like Smino's going on tour. Like all of them, they be announcing pre-sale tomorrow. It'll like pre-sale, and the next day the tickets are dropped. You gotta do the pre-sale. And if you don't get tickets nowadays on the pre-sale, you're not getting the tickets. You not getting the tickets. That's a little crazy to me, man. And it's all because of capitalism. Ain't no other reason. You can't. I don't know, man. Like I think artists need to take in account the regular person makes like $25,000 a year, $30,000 a year. I'm not gonna say how much I make. I was about to, but I'm technically middle class. But even for me, it's a struggle. I live in the expensive ass Bay Area. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think artists should take more consideration of what's going on with people. And I get it though. Like, if you do pre-sale, your tickets are gonna sell out fast, and like Ticketmaster's gonna take their chunk and then resell. And I get the whole market of everything. It's just annoying, man. It's just frustrating that we got to deal with this, man. Capitalism has literally taken some of my joy of the music away. Now, I love music more than I love a lot of things. So it's never going to take all of my joy. But like now, like instead of me going to like a smaller artist's concert on like a random Wednesday, I can't do that because Beyonce might drop. You know what I'm saying? Like, or insert artist might drop. I don't go to concerts as much as I used to, and that sucks, man. Concerts are like one of the things that I love to do. Like that's one of the things I spend my money on. Like I will go to a different state to go to a concert. I've done it. I've done it. I went to Denver, Colorado to see Dreamville on the Rocks. I would do it. But the thing is, it's getting to the point where it's getting too expensive for the average folk. And I don't know. I need artists to like think about their fans when they are announcing their tours. I need them to think about their fans when they're announcing merch drops and vinyl drops. I'm not saying change the prices of it. I'm saying think about the average folk. You know what I'm saying? The average person is not buying that. They can't afford to. And some of them are willing to go in the red basically for that. And I need them to be more as a financially irresponsible person. I need y'all to be more responsible. Cause like I make sure my bills is paid before I, do something financially irresponsible. I need y'all to do that too. But artists, please take us in consideration. I hate capitalism. Capitalism has ruined music. It has ruined everything. Just how it ruined regular life, music is no different. We are all impacted by this stupid ass system. So the rapper Russ has been, let's just say, bothering me lately. And it's not his music. He makes solid, good music. I like his music. I enjoy Russ's music. It ain't got nothing to do with his music. He keeps giving this critique on journalism, music journalism, and he's making it seem like journalists aren't important and like journalists like they're useless. Like he's saying stuff like, "Oh, ain't nobody's like going to buy a concert ticket based off of like Pitchfork's review or whatever." And that might be true, but that's like a dumbed down version of what journalism actually is. And I honestly think it's a little disrespectful to what journalism actually is. And I also think Russ needs to read the room because he's a white man speaking on hip hop journalists. So he's a white man speaking on a culture he's like an outsider on, number one. And he's also doing it in a way that's dumbed down. It's like journalism for dummies. That's what he's doing. And I think he needs to like check himself and check his privilege because journalism is very alive. Hip hop journalism, very alive. Like journalists are doing their damn thing. I love so many like journalists. I read articles. I read like I'm one of them type of dudes. I'm a nerd. Like I'm a proud nerd. You know what I'm saying? Like I know people when they look at me, they don't see nerd, but I am a music nerd. Like the amount of time that I spent just looking at samples and like just scrolling through stuff and going on a deep dive on YouTube and watching documentaries. Like I am a nerd. Like I have so many books about music. I am a nerd. Like I don't like reading fiction, but I will read a music book really fast. Really fast. Like that's just the type of person I am. But I would never call even myself a journalist because I respect what actual journalists do. You know what I'm saying? They do the field work. They do the ground work. They do everything. They in the field for real. You know what I'm saying? They interview these people. They do the research. And while I'll do research, like I enjoy that part. Like I hate the editing of the podcast. I hate the promoting of the podcast. I hate finding clips. I hate all that shit. Talking and doing the research, fun. It's fun. Like I record every day after work. It's fun to me. You know, doing the research is fun. But I would never call myself a journalist. And I think this narrative that journalism is actually dead and journalists doesn't exist, I think we need to dead that. I think we needed to dead that years ago, but I think we really need to stop like disrespecting what actual journalist is. Like academics is not a journalist. Adam 22, not a journalist. Vlad, not a journalist. You know what I'm saying? Like stop looking at these people like the people y'all say are vultures and are ruining hip hop, ruining music. They are ruining journalism. They are not journalists. They are not. There's people like Sidney Madden out here. Like the Louder Than a Riot podcast. I'm mad NPR stopped doing it. That was one of my favorite podcasts. That was a podcast that inspired me to do this podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like podcasts like that. You know, one song with Luxury and Diallo Riddle. Like they inspired me. Like I want to do a segment on this podcast called it's after their stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna call it, where I take one song that's important to me, one hip hop song, and we do a deep dive, me and a guest. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that is inspired by them. I had a whole podcast called The Bucket List, and that was inspired by music journalists. You know what I'm saying? I respect journalists so much, you know, and I feel like uh music journalists don't get the respect. Like journalists in general don't get the respect, but especially hip hop journalists, they do not get the respect and the love that I think they deserve. And it doesn't help that we have an artist like Russ who keeps shitting on them every chance that he gets, you know. And this is not a discredit his music, but when he talks, sometimes he makes men with microphones look bad, and that's a man with a microphone. And he need to stop. Like he did an interview with Elsie. Shout out to Elsie, where he was critiquing journalism while getting interviewed by a journalist. Like I don't know. I just want people to put more respect on journalism. Again, I would never call myself a journalist, and I understand like one, ain't that many people gonna watch this? Ain't that many people gonna listen to me? That's fine. but I do the work. I, I I'm I I'm somebody who's going to work really hard. I'm going to promote my stuff, get clips. Nobody's going to outwork me. And even with all the work that I think I do, I would still not call myself a journalist. You know what I'm saying? Journalism isn't dead. Respect to all of the journalists who are doing the damn thing. Respect to all of them. You know, um, and yeah, and another topic I want to talk about. It's a weird transition, but we gonna do it anyways. Is Mustard posted something? I saw it this week. He posted it last week, I guess. Where Boy Wonder was essentially talking about the West Coast sound and hip hop, and was saying like nobody want to hear that, only people on the West Coast and stuff like that. I'll post it in here, so you have an idea. Like I'm gonna still talk over it, but you have an idea of the text message that I'm talking about, and this is why people on the West Coast have such a big chip on their shoulder. And I'm in a chat with a whole bunch of hip hop creators. Shout out to all of y'all. You know what I'm saying? And we always talk about like this type of stuff, and we always say, see, people don't like the West Coast. People don't like the West Coast, and they always say like people love the West Coast, and I'm like, nah, like people love West Coast sound when it doesn't sound like it's a West Coast sound. People love West Coast artists when it sounds like they're from a different region, like New York or stuff like that. They don't love the West Coast sound. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's quite ironic that the album that Kendrick makes that sounds like a West Coast album is the album that is getting the most critique. You know what I'm saying? And I think Kendrick always sounded like a West Coast artist, mind you. But the album that is distinct, like LA, distinct Bay Area, is getting more critique than any of his other projects. It's not a coincidence. Like we have a chip on our shoulder on the West Coast because of that type of thing. Like people don't really like the LA sound or respect the LA sound. And I think part of it is East Coast bias. I think part of it is um, regionalism, like regionalism hate, I guess. I think part of it is like the beef with Kendrick and Drake and like stan culture and all that type of stuff. But we have this chip on our shoulder because while there are some people who love like the LA rappers, the LA sound and stuff like that, and that's usually people who are like diehard hip hop fans, the general public does not like the West Coast sound. They hate the West Coast sound. They hate it. Like I know people be like, "Oh, the LA sound is trash," or the Bay Area when hyphy was like crazy. Oh, hyphy movement is trash. And while like people love the West Coast, we're always going to have a chip on our shoulder because of that. Like when we say we feel like people don't like the West Coast, we are not talking about the people we know who love the West Coast. We're talking about the people who keep downplaying the West Coast. And this gets into the point that I want to talk about, and that is the East Coast bias that we see in a lot of hip hop conversation. The East Coast bias, and I've said this plenty of times, the East Coast bias is crazy. It's crazy. It's been like that since 2000s. I remember when Nas said hip hop was dead. That was corny to me then. It's corny to me now. And Nas is a goat. He's one of the goats. That was so corny because what they were essentially saying is the sound that like we grew up on, the sound that we have is no longer popular. So hip hop is dead. And that is crazy to me because the South sound, while it might be distinct, while it might be different, hip hop was thriving. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta was doing their thing, Miami doing their thing, Houston doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Like the South was doing their thing and the sounds were different, but it was still hip hop Hip hop was definitely alive and well, but since the people have that East Coast bias, they don't respect other regions. When California was doing a thing for real, they weren't respecting it. Like the G Funk and stuff like that, they weren't respecting it. They weren't. But guess who they were going to for all their hits? Dre. Guess who they were coming to for all their hits? Alchemist, Madlib, West Coast producers. Guess who they go to now when they want a hit? They want that ATL Atlanta sound. You know what I'm saying? I know Metro's not from Atlanta. I know he's from like St. Louis, but he ain't from the East Coast. Guess who they going to for the sound? They all sound like a Metro beat. They all sound like 808 Mafia. They all sound like Future and they rapping like Future, but they disrespect the sound so much. That's why like when a rapper from the East Coast comes out and like they got a little bit of static, a little bit of swag, they get elevated so high because of East Coast like bias. And the bias isn't just from like the consumers, it's from the people who talk about it. Look at everybody who has a platform. Like look where they all from. All of them are from the East Coast. All of the respected people are from the East Coast. 99% of the people who are doing it, East Coast. And all of them say stuff like hip hop is dead, hip hop don't sound the same, hip hop's not this, it's not that. Listen, hip hop's not supposed to sound the same. It's not supposed to sound like it did in the 90s. That means the genre is not elevating. That means the genre is not doing anything new. That means the genre is not breaking barriers. It's going to elevate. Of course, the regions like Atlanta, like a Houston, like a LA, like a Oakland, Detroit, Chicago, like places where a lot of black people are, they are going to have their moment. That just makes sense. Instead of like downgrading them, we should be appreciating them. We should be uplifting them. Like nothing I love more in music than regionalism. I love when I hear a song from like a rapper from Detroit and they sound like Detroit. You know what I'm saying? And like not rappers from Detroit who just happen to be rapping. Rappers from Detroit who sound like Detroit. You feel me? Rappers from LA that sound like LA. Rappers from the Bay that sound like the Bay. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember like playing Mac Dre for some people and they just looked at me crazy and I'm like, y'all just don't get it. Y'all just don't get it. And I'm not even from the Bay, but y'all just don't get it. You know, I love regionalism. I hate the East Coast bias. And I'm not gonna lie, you see it more so in the media, more so in like the people with voices, and it's really annoying. It's really annoying when they be like, "We want that real rap." Like you got it. You can't tell me Future's not real rap. You might not respect it. You can't tell me that's not real rap. You know what I'm saying? You can't tell me Young Thug's not real rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, they respect Kendrick, they respect Schoolboy Q out here, or Vince Staples. But what about a Greedo? You know what I'm saying? Y'all respect him? Y'all respect him? Yeah, y'all love LaRussell. What about Mr. Fab? What about Keek Sneak? You know what I'm saying? Like, what about these people? Like, I hate the term. I hate this so much too. I hate when they say, "Oh, he's a West Coast legend," or a Southern legend. But when they talk about like Jadakiss, they say he's a legend. Or when they talk about Styles, he's a legend, and they are. But why is somebody a West Coast legend and they are just legends? E40 is a legend, not a West Coast legend. Legend, too short. Legend. Snoop Dogg, legend. Cube, legend. You know what I'm saying? DJ Quick, legend. Just like how y'all would say KRS-One's a legend, Rakim's a legend. Say the same thing about people from other regions. That bothers me so much. He's a West Coast legend. Y'all would never say that for somebody from the East Coast. Y'all would never say that. But people only say that because they are discrediting like these people. And words matter. I know people are gonna say it's not that deep. It's deep. Those words matter, man. The East Coast bias in music is so freaking annoying, and it's something we deal with. And I just accepted it, kinda, that it's something we just gonna deal with. But I get bothered by it so much, especially being from the West Coast, because we see the West Coast get boo booed on all the time. Like, I understand that LA is very important, but California is more than just LA. It's more than just LA and Oakland. There's so many other regions. There's so many other places. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just, I don't know, man. Boy Wonder's comments kind of bothered me. It didn't surprise me because we see this type of slander. It's just, it is what it is. East Coast bias is always going to be there, but the West always has something to say. The South has something to say. The Midwest has something to say. Hip hop is alive and thriving. The most popular genre out. It never died, never will die. As long as I'm alive, as long as the other people are alive, hip hop's gonna do the damn thing. And that's on God. Now, before we get out of here, I want to give y'all the song of the week. The song of the week is by TajWonder, Daylight Saving. Check it out.
Avec toi, je suis
John, you can't say kill on my mother. You can't say kill.
Avec toi, la vie est pleine.
Yeah, what this sound like though? This sound like this sound like niggas in Paris. Tickets sold out in 10-minute periods, 10 different areas. Took the cash route, intend on repairing the broken hearts that my niggas inherited. London ice spinning off the hinges when I visit the various cities of the world. Singapore, the boroughs, they gon' treat me like an innocent terrorist. Never forget, never content. My life is an interesting set of events. A bitch got me for my number just to let me know that she tryna let my brother hit. High funny, slim my wrist, and my Duffy with the hit. So I'ma always get my lick. If God's plans picket fences and rent, let me introduce the rich. Whoa. Slow that shit, nigga, spank. Slow down, slow down, slow that shit, slow down, nigga, spank. Slow down, you fake. Some are sent here with bit, some are spanked in the crib. Behind the bricks it was brick. Others stretch their conflictions and pussy and liquor is outsiders they can get. Alzheimer's, don't forget where you started. I try all too often, walk these PG streets till my newbies exhausted. Oxen to cross and cut my ears, listening out for my call and all. I go with 16 bars explaining knowledge. Ain't come and talk it sweet, but watch what they feed you, bitch. A trauma tweet is almost as lethal as a religious missile fired on innocent people. Sorry, I mean Palestinians evil. Living on pins and needles, taking notice from authorities, keep you thinking feeble. Hey, I'm sure you'll make manager by your second life sequel. Not me, stacking shadow like a fucking chopped cheese. Play Monopoly with every block scene, running Hollywood behind the scenes like an AI scheme. Not famished till every hand in the fan got bands and I'm like Rock Lee. Both ice locked on your top three with a rocket on me finna drop 3. You can copy paste, you can sloppy trace, either fucking Frank, you and not me. Now the rap game is the pop scene in the mainstream. Niggas lost steam, she been settling for some monotony, but I'ma fuck the bitch till she knock me. Look at DC through IG, see young niggas on the crime spree. Jack V's get a strap, clap, flee. See the op shit to get obscene. Back in Little League, you was a halfback. All that running fast, turning cop speed. Not enough to outrun the pop sound. Last thing he heard was his mom scream. Oh God, that took a dark turn. But daylight savings isn't my concern. Y'all gon' learn I ain't one of your little friends. Rapping for likes, you must like to pretend. Acting polite only buy you content. Who you trying to convince? That's why I move so ominously. It's alarming to me. Like on God, I listen to Nirvana to sleep. Salon to the freak. Exchange my Doja Gabbana sneakers for some common Adidas. My God. Fuck. So alarming to me. I listen to Nirvana to sleep, Solana the freak. Exchange my Doja Gabbana sneakers for some common Adidas. I'm obviously a different breed of nigga. Fuck.
That was Daylight Savings by TajWonder. Check out his music. You can find it everywhere that you find music. And this has been Open Mic. I've been your host, Jamal Radio Raheem. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, rate us 5 stars if you're gonna rate us anything. If you rate us something lower, your mama's a hoe. And I'll catch y'all on Sunday with another dope pod. And Sunday is going to be the year review. I'm gonna give y'all my top albums of the year, my favorite singles, all that type of stuff, man. And I'll catch y'all on the other side with another dope pod. The step 2. Play my outro. Peace.